Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast, where we explore therapy, Kundalini yoga, and all things holistic wellness. I'm Hannah Zachney, LMFT, International Retreat Leader, and Curious Human. Whether you're tuning into us via social media or any of the major podcast platforms, we're so grateful to have you here. Here's to opening our hearts and exploring life together. Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. We are going to have some fun today. I'm really excited about this conversation because I have actually had a session with Tyler, and we don't talk as much in those sessions because I'm one of these people that just go into just receiving and appreciating just the time to have the work done and on the table. And so we get to get into all of the nuances, all of the insights that I knew he had, what he was bringing to his work, and what I've been witnessing over a while now on his socials, and just becoming more and more aware of the depth of his work. So really excited today to have Tyler Sandos. He has Kinetic Clinic, and you can find that on Instagram. Do you have a website too?
Yep. Kinetic.clinic. That's it. Just same as Instagram.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Find him in all the places, and we will include that in the show notes. According to him, he is born and raised from the area, sports massage therapist, and loves to serve others for a living. So I would say I love the simplicity of that bio and the truth under it as well. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So maybe just to start off by explaining, like, what is it that you do and what makes your work special?
Oh, gosh. I think what makes my work special is it's not your typical type of work or massage, so to say. When people think of massage, they think of a masseuse, or they think of Swedish or spa type of environments, and it's relaxing. But then when you come see me, it's people are like, oh my gosh, like I've never had anything like this ever. And I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. It's very painful. But
it does, by the way.
But it's so relieving,
Mm-hmm.
and my goal here is to kind of just address anything that's going on with the body, like on a fascia level, on a physical level, emotional, and I kind of do that by asking questions, looking at people's posture, just everything, and I have more than just one modality, right? Like you go to a spa, you're gonna get deep tissue, or you're gonna get Swedish, right? It's kind of hard to label or market my type of work because I don't think there really is a specific type of label for it yet. Just because I do pretty much like a little bit of everything, so it's kind of just like body work that takes little pieces from Swedish, from deep tissue, from active release therapy, from scraping, from gua sha, from like techniques that have been used for thousands of years, all in one, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes perfect sense. And I think that's kind of the true definition of a healer, isn't to get, sometimes you can use one modality and it's very effective. You can be very precise and amazing with it. So that is somebody's path. Often, though, it is kind of a mix mash of, like, you have, in my opinion, you have more of an intuitive approach that allows you to pull from.
Intuition is a word I use a lot. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I know the advertisement that was given to me for you was from a friend who said, don't book over an hour. I could barely stay there for an hour because it was so painful. But she did say that the issues that she was having with her back at that time were alleviated from that as well. So, of course, I booked 2 hours because, I think that I'm strong.
You're like, I got this.
Yeah, I got this.
You can't do an hour, I'll do 2.
Yeah,
I'm
fine.
I
know. That says a lot about me, but and I never doubt. It was really, really amazing. And I really didn't even I haven't had you had some like tools that I had not been, you definitely used heat, you had like a wand kind of situation. I mean, there's like just a lot of
funny. I make jokes with the tools all the time because like people will be face down, they can't really see anything. And then I'll be like, clink, 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 clink. And they're like, what the heck's going on over
Yes.
there? And I'm like, oh, don't worry. It's
Yeah,
fine.
don't worry.
I'm just busting out my chainsaw. And no, I'm just kidding. But it literally sounds like it, right? Like a tool, like you're in a tool shed because it's all these stainless steel gouache tools that I bust out and they've never seen or heard or ever experienced before. But man, that's like one of the best. Like I said, like gua sha has been a thing for like Asian. It's for so long,
Yeah,
right?
hundreds, thousands of years. Yes.
They use like crystals and
Yeah.
whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays we're like using stainless steel and like all these other tools to address the muscle, and it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just not crystals or whatever they might have used back then.
Yeah.
And we have different shapes now too. Like I have this one that's like a handlebar that I joke. It's a like like a bike handlebar, and it literally is like a foot long, and it addresses the back, the legs, like the fascia on the body so well, like better than any tool I've ever used. But it's probably the most painful tool I have too.
Yeah.
But after the 20-30 seconds of people just holding on for dear life, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing to feel the life and I like to say like waviness. I don't even know if that's a word, but that's what I say.
Yeah.
Because I can like feel the inflammation or kind of just touch and just be like, oh man, like there's stuff going on here. Right. And then after I do a bunch of different modalities and kind of loosen everything up already, and that's kind of like one of my final touches is just kind of getting to the fascia, and then usually afterwards it's just like butter.
Yeah.
And that's the goal, right? Because a healthy body is very open and buttery. Like that's just how fascia and life should be in general. So yeah.
And okay, I have 1 million questions, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So how did you get here? How did you get into this field, and what is your background in this field?
Oh gosh. Okay. So 2020, I was just finishing up college. I was working at, gosh, I don't even remember what restaurant I was working at because I've worked at so many.
I think everybody should work in the restaurant industry at some point in time. Also,
trying to survive off tips.
Yeah.
Basically, right? And it was COVID time, so everything shut down, and I didn't have a job, and I was literally, like I said, just graduating, and then my girlfriend at the time, we were both, I think we were working together. And I was giving her massages because we had all this time together, because we weren't doing anything. We're all collecting the COVID money checks, right? Or just living our best lives. And then she suggested like, hey, like, because I'd also always originally been into kind of anatomy, physical therapy, and personal training, and I had I went to school for kinesiology, and I was just finishing, and she's like, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't like originally my plan was, oh, I'm gonna be like a teacher or PE teacher or personal training and this and that, but nothing. I wasn't really passionate about any of that like I thought I was. Like I always just liked it, like I grew up playing sports and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, that fits my role.
Yeah.
But I never really intuitively like tapped into like what I really want, and I think after I went to school for massage therapy, after she was like, you should do it. I researched it, I looked into it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? This could be something I really like. And it wasn't till I went to school I actually started realizing there was like this found love I have for serving. And like school taught me so much about myself because when I went to massage school, they kind of teach you a lot about the energy healing and the Eastern side of things and the Western side of things, like all these other types of, I want to say, education that I had no idea about previously.
Like philosophies and
Yeah,
approaches.
exactly. And I think that's when that's when things really changed for me. And even COVID too. Like that whole year, I think was really big for a lot of us. And I think it was a perfect timing for the type of schooling I got as well, because I think it was like a big, just whole step, like growths in my life and next chapter, so to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the world was slowed down enough that you probably really had the space to really receive what you were being taught and really be in that stillness of
Right.
of listening and hearing it.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than like chasing something that probably wasn't meant for us, maybe take a step back and start being in tune with what is meant for us, right? Or for me, so to say. Yeah.
Can you say a bit more about the serving part? I love that. So that kind of opened. You liked
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think it's always been there. I just didn't realize it because I was a waiter, right? And I've always been a giver and a lover and always giving out energy to others, right? Which is like my biggest positive and my biggest flaw at the same time. All right, that's a whole nother story. We won't get into that.
Oh, maybe we will.
Right. Maybe we'll see. So I think my biggest, honestly, I'm still figuring it out. Like I know why I like to do it, but there's still a lot of reasons I'm sure that are there that I'm unaware of still of why it's been a big thing. You know, I'm on that journey right now of unpacking all that. But one of the things I think why I like to serve and give is to just express love. And give in ways that maybe I never was given throughout my life, you know, like trying to heal something that I necessarily didn't get as a child, maybe. That's why I think is the biggest thing, because it's almost like I don't want anyone to experience or go through certain things that I have or feel certain ways that I have. So I'm like, maybe I can like help people, or it's almost like trying to heal your inner child through loving and giving to others, if that makes sense.
It's probably one of the most beautiful ways to do that.
Yeah. So I've realized, like, man, can you imagine a world where we all just tried to like do that for one another? It'd be like such a cool place. But you know, this obviously not how things work. But
yeah,
one day, you know, maybe in the afterlife. If you believe in an afterlife, I do. I definitely do. I 100% do. But yeah, that's I think the biggest reason why I like to serve. It's so much. It's very self-serving as well to be like people don't realize that, like, giving back to others, and you know, obviously in a healthy boundary, which, you know, I've given to others in unhealthy boundaries, which it can have the opposite effect as well. But you know, you learn that lesson the hard way, like I think all of us do. But if you learn to do things in a healthy way, set up boundaries, like establish a good skill set and listen and start to give back to yourself as well, like you can make a huge impact on the world. And I don't know, I feel like that's living in my truest authentic self, and I think a lot of us aren't living in that. And to me, living in that has been a privilege and I'm very blessed for that, to be able to do that and to understand that, to do what I do, to give back to others, to serve. And I can't wait to like see what the rest of this universe and like God has planned for my journey with this, you know?
Yeah. What do you think that looks like? Do you have a vision?
You know, I do have a vision, but I've learned in my path or I guess my path, or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
that sometimes it's not what we think it will be.
Often.
Often,
Mhm.
and I've learned to kind of surrender to that and just
Mhm.
accept that and
Mhm.
just welcome whatever may come. But
Mhm.
I definitely am a believer also in manifesting things, but I'm more of like a believer of manifesting like positive outcomes and emotions and
Mhm.
situations, but it won't always look how we think it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am, as you're talking, I'm reflecting on when I had a session with you, and I forget what you asked me, but I remember answering a couple questions, and um, you reflected back to me the positivity of a situation I was explaining to you in a way that I don't, I remember it right now. Like, I think I said something about my husband in how he was supporting me in some way. And you were like, oh my gosh, how amazing that he's able to, to do this for you, or to, like, the way that you worded it, just to me, it struck with me because there was a, you were deeply listening, you were reinforcing what was positive and kind and good. And it also provided like a sense of safety in your space, because I was just like, okay, like he's listening, like he wants well for me. And so some of that, like serving, some of that care that you bring into the room, I think that would be, and I haven't had enough sessions with you, so I need to have more, but I think that would be some, like, my initial answer to what part of what makes what you do unique, on top of the fact that you bring in a lot of tools and the scraping and the things that
Yeah.
our body needs. But I think you have to bring those tools are intense. Like, they're no joke. So you have to do them in a way that it's brought with love and care. Otherwise, it would be torture,
Oh yeah.
right? But there's something, I think you know that.
Yeah. No,
So there's a reverence for how
addressing
you do it.
addressing that with people is huge, right? And not
Yeah.
everyone opens up in certain ways like that. And
Yeah.
I don't always talk with people like that as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people they don't want to do that, or they're
Mm-hmm.
just there for the physical or
Mm-hmm.
whatever they might need. But I've learned like healthy validation is so important,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I say validation, a lot of people think, well, there's a lot of negative stigma around that word, but what I've learned is praise and validation are a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, if people, when people open up and talk about certain things in their life and this and that, like letting them know that they are safe and that those feelings are valid,
Mm-hmm.
and what they experienced and went through, whatever it may be, like a lot of the time people just want to feel understood and
Mm-hmm.
I f- like they're not alone in this world, what they
Mm-hmm.
went through with their pain, because I think a lot of us are just like, oh man, they feel alone or pain, or they just want people to understand and share those experiences with others. And when they do that, especially while getting some heavy body work at the
Mm-hmm.
same time,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna open up so much more.
Yeah.
And like it's gonna do more than just say your fascia release or your shoulder open, or your fibers, like you're gonna release so much stress, the cortisol is gonna come down, you're gonna start opening pathways in your body that you never even knew about. And that's gonna help more than anything, actually, if you ask me.
Well, I would agree. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I do therapy, but I mean, we are very much moving more and more and more towards like the holistic, and it's always been there, but we're just even more and more. And thank goodness the
Yeah.
world's kind of opening to this as
Right.
we're more open minded to it a little bit, at
Yeah.
some level, so it's more of a holistic approach, which is why I was excited to chat with you, because you're not just doing body work, right? You're doing you are coming in with a holistic approach. Like, you're
Yes.
serving the whole body. You're serving mind, body, spirit, and addressing all the angles of the person that you're serving. And I would say you're giving all of your attention in those moments. I think that's another thing I feel is true for you, that you're very present,
Yeah.
and that so that is felt. And so when people are seen and heard in that way, they relax.
Absolutely.
Their nervous system starts to relax, and then they
Absolutely.
can receive more help.
You know, it didn't start off like that. You know,
Mm.
when I first got into this, I didn't tap into like everything I'm doing now. I was more so just physical, so to say. I'll be listening to fun music or rap music, hip hop, rock, whatever,
Mhm.
like, because that's where I learned a lot from a place where it was kind of just like that. And which is great. You still
Yeah,
get benefits that way.
that's a
And
fun vibe
there's
too. Yeah.
there's there's still a lot to be said of just doing the physical work, right?
Hmm.
And I still do that for people all the time, actually. But like we said earlier, intuition, I think, is one of the key words I surround myself with lately. And I found myself following that, and when I started doing that, I started realizing like there's so much more I can offer and give to people
Hmm.
to heal, because there has been people that where my physical work just wasn't enough, or they come in and they might just be stressed out, or
Hmm.
they have so much going on, or they have this going on at work, or like, oh, my shoulders, like I just keep stressing, like it just keeps going back, like, and
Hmm.
and I sit there and I fix it, adjust it, or it just, you know what I mean,
Hmm.
whatever the situation might be,
Hmm.
like. So when I started realizing that, I was like, and then people would tell me all sorts of stories revolving around family. Like people do get comfortable. People have told me they feel safe and like they like talking to me and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Hmm.
And it's funny, I never realized that
Yeah.
for so long.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never I've never really thought of myself that way,
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think you could also not talk, right? That's the intuitive part, right? Somebody could also, because
mm,
I mean, sometimes we don't want to talk, we just want, like, I just want to have you help me, right? Like, like, I don't want to talk right now. I'm talked out or whatever. So I think
right.
that's when that intuitive part comes in as well. Can you give, like, I know you've explored in your work just the release of emotions, how emotions get trapped, or how we're like
Yeah.
protecting ourselves in ways. Maybe we're protecting our heart, our shoulders, our spine, our neck, or
Right.
like how do you see that? And then like identifying, especially the example you just gave, where it's like you release it, but it comes back. You really like these tension patterns that we have associated with the stress, and really what's required is a change probably in our outside life to help, or like an awareness even of that to be able.
Right.
So if you speak to any of that.
So, so like how are emotions trapped in the body, so to
Sure,
say?
let's do that one. That works.
Oh, that's a very good question.
Mhm.
I'm still myself learning a lot about that, and
Yeah.
like growing on my knowledge revolving that area. But as far as like my intuition and what I see in people, usually, um, it it comes in a way that's revolved around lifestyle choices and history and trauma and the people they surround themselves with on a daily basis, basically, whether that's at work, at home, with families. A lot of the time, too, what I think is like the biggest thing that for a lot of people, actually, there's this, there's something blocking some, like there's, we all have, or not we all, but a lot of people have blockages in their body, right? And because I believe we all have like energetic paths throughout our body that should be running smoothly
Mhm.
24/7, but there could be like, especially if you're not living in your authentic self, like, so to say, like say someone's like working a job all day they don't like and sitting bad and doing this and that, and it's causing a lot of stress at home, or they're not happy and they're taking it out on the people they love and this and that. That's going to manifest not only from sitting bad and, you
Mhm.
know, your forward posture and your hips are going to lock up from that, but all the other things, like I just said, that's, the stress at home, with your family, you're not going to feel love. All these negative frequency emotions are going to start manifesting in you, and it's going to make everything worse. And it's going to be much more. it's going to be a lot worse than just having bad posture and hips. Now you're going to start getting disease, you're going to get sick, you're going to, and that's going to hold up in the body in ways you will never want for anybody, you know?
So their environment and who they surround themselves is something that you see as like one of the major contributors.
When you start giving people awareness about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I start opening them up, and another thing too that's so important to talk about, when you start opening up certain parts of their bodies, like say your hips and the shoulders, and like things start aligning again, and you start like getting energy and breath and blood and chi, whatever you want to call it, right?
Especially to places that have been stagnant and shut down for a while,
for a long time.
Yeah,
it's like you start feeling awakened again, and certain things start coming back to you. It's almost like you've been shut down and stagnant for a long time, even if it's just momentarily, right? Because you could go back, but that's like when people really start to heal again, and or at least start that journey of healing, and that could be like the first step for other aspects they need to heal in life, is just addressing the body in that way. Yeah.
Well, I think we get used to our discomfort to a certain degree, right? Or we get comfortable with that shutdown feeling physically.
They don't even realize it.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of people walk around, so many people. I mean, you walk on the street, you walk anywhere, almost everyone's got bad posture, you know? I work on it daily now. Because now when I realize, like, when your spine's straight, everything's straight, your chakras are aligned.
Yeah.
You literally feel, for me, like alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my whole brand is Heart Wide Open, right? And it's for so many reasons. But one of them is a postural reason. Like, to heart wide open. I mean, if you're doing that, you sit and stand in a way where you're radiating out from your heart. Absolutely. Right? Like it's a very, and when you're doing that, your energetic flow is greater.
Yeah.
And we know from a frequency standpoint that when you are, like, to your point of, like, you open up locked places, your circulation starts to go back in there, the blood flow, the oxygen levels start to restore. And when your body is functioning like that, there's a higher chance that you can feel those higher vibrational emotions too, right? You can access love, joy, gratitude. Whereas if you're just shrunken down, and you're not going to be able to feel those to that level.
We all want to be high vibrating humans, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. But I also think people have a hard time admitting that they want to sometimes, or or understanding that it's possible.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Because there's people that are like high vibrating humans, or when I talk about certain things like what we are right now, those think it's like silly, or it's not. People aren't used to it yet, so to say.
Yeah.
But it's becoming a lot more popular and researched.
Yeah.
And even like scientifically.
Yeah.
And I love that so much.
Me too.
And it's like, finally, like the stuff that's been used forever. It's like, all right, well, scientifically research it now, I guess. Like
somehow we need that. We're a culture that needs that to back it up. But it was true.
We need before. To put everything under a microscope to make sure,
Yeah.
And it's like, which I'd agree to some point in certain things, but I also am a big believer of, like, intuition is key too.
Yeah. Is it working? Does it make you feel better? Like, that might be all the research you need, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, do we really need to? And I think that goes back down to just like we all just want to manipulate and control, And that's another thing. That's like, too much science could be bad in a way, if you ask me. Like, I think there's some things that we're not meant to know 100%. Like, I think just having faith and intuition with certain things is the key to certain health aspects in life, if that makes sense.
It does. And what it brings up for me is also, I think we are a culture that's very imbalanced, and we rely on our brain and our mind a lot. And when we need to know everything, quote unquote, right? Like, I need to know that works. I need to know. Then we're just strengthening again or over strengthening the reliance on the brain,
Yeah.
which is really beautiful. Thank you, brain. Thank you, beautiful mind, for doing what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But that offsets the gut, the intuition, the heart's knowledge, the other centers of our bodies that have so much wisdom, so much knowledge, and in my opinion, should have so much more input in our decision making and in our understanding of our soul, of our being, right?
And the goal is to live through that all the time, right? But it's hard, you know, especially because we live in a society where everyone is living through fear and anger, and you know, we all are trying to survive, right? And we're not all walking around like living happily, vibrating as much as we would like, you know. But we're getting there, I think.
Yeah.
I think things are starting to change a little bit, and I also think it's like who you surround yourself with in your environment. That's huge, you know. Because when I started doing that, it was a big shift for me. Like I lost a lot of friends. Like I'm very careful who I spend my time with now, where I go, how I eat, like what I watch, everything. It's such everything has such a major impact on you, you know.
Well, I think once you get true recognition of what works for you, there's a self-responsibility that steps in to protect that. And so, you know, being around the frequencies, the people, the energies, that the foods, the, you know, environments that don't nurture that anymore become something that you can't do. It's, you know, and so
it's like awakening this amazing thing inside of us, and then it's just it makes you feel a way you've never felt before, and you're like, oh, like you said, it's like you got to protect that now, because it's you don't want to go back.
No, but I can but no, you don't. But I can understand where somebody that hasn't maybe felt that completely is aware that they will have to change once they tap in. And so maybe I'm not ready to tap in, because like if I tap in, I'm going to have to protect it. Right. I think we know this.
That's scary. It's fear.
Yes. Yeah. And we know, I think, I don't know, but I think my belief is, it was very thinky, but I'm not sure. But I feel like humans know that there is a way that they should be treating themselves. Like they know that there is and if they really do that,
but they shove it deep down, or they have these thoughts like, oh, probably shouldn't eat that. I probably should go to the gym. I probably should do this and do that. Or all these thoughts. Right? But they don't do it. They don't do what's right. And shoot, that'll build up in the body as stress and fascia hold up, like all these things as well. Yes. You know?
Yeah.
So my advice is, that's a good first step, is start realizing like what is your authentic self, or what can you do to start living better for who you are, right? Or at least
that's very
start exploring, you know. And you'll be surprised how like free and open you'll start feeling. Yeah.
So you do a lot of your work, which I highly recommend if anybody is wanting to see an example of your work before they go do that you do. I really love how you do your Instagram. I'm sure your website's the same, but just like how you have videos and you have examples of, you know, what it looks like. So in a lot of the things that I've seen on your videos, and also I've experienced on the table, are interactive, right? Like you do a lot of I don't know the term, is it active release or whatever? I don't know what the terms are, but it is, you know, a lot.
That's one of them.
Yeah. But like you'll have engagement with whoever you're working on, right? Like you'll have a press down as I'm lifting. And so there's like some of these like,
it's the active release.
Yeah. So how do you get most people are willing to engage in that way? Or do you get people that like, don't do it?
Like they're like, no thanks.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
there's definitely been people where they look at me like, what is this? What are you doing? You know, because there's sports therapy where they don't do active release, so to say. Like you know, a lot of the time, I'm not going to speak for all places, but you know, you go to a sports therapy place and the only difference really will be like, oh, they add some stretches in or
Mm-hmm.
something, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when you do active release, it's, yeah, you basically have people utilize their own body. It's not relaxing because they
No.
have to use, you have to do some of the work.
But how much information do you get in that process? That's why I love it.
It's one of the best things there is, you know.
Yeah.
And then it also leads me back to like yes, I'm a healer, but at the same time, I'm guiding you in ways to like heal your own body in a way.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm basically targeting all sorts of spots of your body that you might have allowed, and now I'm like, all right, now you need to like gather up the strength in your body to release it physically, and then
Mm-hmm.
you do the work outside of here emotionally, and then now you'll know like where to go and like what parts you like help people understand themselves and their body
Mm-hmm.
better. And I do that by targeting all the areas that need it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so to say, like, you know, you have like a shoulder thing or whatever you got going on, I basically just target the muscles and fascia in that area, and I'll have them do just some dynamic movements, and it literally feels like just someone pulling your arm off,
Mm-hmm.
so to say. And you know, you
Mm-hmm.
felt it.
Mm-hmm.
But then afterwards, you know, you do that a couple times, and then, you know, do some arm circles, whatever. And then you add the cupping as well, dynamic cupping,
Mm-hmm.
which is also basically the same thing. But you know, it's like myofascial release. You have all the blood, the lymph, the energy, all the flow coming to the surface of the skin now. And you would put those in all the areas that basically need it, surrounding a joint, surrounding whatever type of movement is restricted or area that's restricted. And then you do that with the dynamic movement as well. Man, it's like magic.
Yeah. And you usually make us do it one more time than we want to, for sure.
Yeah.
If
And
not a couple
I
more
have you
times.
do it until you can.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Until but not too long. You don't
Yeah.
want to do it too long.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what percentage is it that people come in and say, I have a back issue or like it hurts in my left thigh? And then, like, do you, I mean, I'm sure there's a respect for what they're saying, but then there's also you identifying, like, and actually, my undergrad's in physical therapy. So, I have,
Oh, great.
yeah. So, I have this, and I was always an athlete. And I think those two go together a lot, you know, like those are, and so, and it makes sense to me that your intuition of bodies is heightened because of that history, and that,
Absolutely.
you know, you've been active in your own body and understood. I always say, I kind of, as a child, I just understood the world through movement and through like how I moved my body. I still am very much that way. I think that's why
Right.
yoga really works for me, and, you know, bringing breath
Yeah.
intentionally into my body, that really works. But I also know that sometimes I'll think, oh, I have a hip issue, when really, you know, we know from physical therapy or kinesiology, it's like it's tension on the opposite shoulder, or it's, you know, it's something else. So, you know,
Imbalance.
it's like an imbalance.
Yeah.
It's a referred pain from this going over here, right? So, like, do you feel that most of the time people come in, I guess this is the real question I'm going for with all that information, is like, do you find people know what they want to work on, or is it more like they just come in and you receive what they have to say and then you just do your thing?
Oh man, it varies.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's different, you know, so to say. Because I have people come in all the time for like, oh, they just they usually just like grab their arm and start like putting it in places that are like, oh, it hurts
Right here,
really
here.
here.
Yeah.
This is the pain. They just
Yeah.
start kind of telling me like this is where it's been hurting, or they'll tell me stories about their surgeries of where they've had it, or just everything they've kind of been through, and kind of explain the symptoms. And then that's usually when I just kind of ask them a lot of questions like, okay, how long, where, what do you do? and get to know them a little bit, right? And then you start to kind of see, and then you ask questions like a lot of time, like, oh, the right hip might be forward, or I'll look at their posture, see how they walk, their gait, like, are they favoring one side, or how do you sit all day? What sports do you play? When you a lot of people who work out, they don't realize, but they lean a lot to the one side. Like, people are very off balance, And in gym culture, it's huge right now. A lot of us are working out, lifting a lot, but we're not utilizing every single muscle in the way we should be, and they're just strengthening their imbalances, so to say. And you got to balance that out by doing like some yoga or some like Tai Chi, some Qigong, something that's going to balance your body out in a healthier way.
Do you do all
to get all those little muscles? Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just started.
Okay. Okay.
I just started getting it because I was guilty of that for a long time. When you start realizing all these things, like we talked about, you want to balance the body out now.
And you realize you can't do it just like the 1 or 2 ways that
you got to do a lot. It's a lot of self-love and care
and time.
It's that's another big thing is, people that work all day and they're like do Qigong yoga and work it, like they don't want to do all that,
Yeah.
So, but it's like, I don't know, pick and choose your battles, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find that, or you're just going to continue to make it worse.
Yeah.
And what for? Like, you just want to look good, or do you want to feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? What has this taught you? This entrepreneurial journey of yours that you just keep going towards? It sounds like something clicked. This was the thing. I don't know what I want to do. Your girlfriend at the time says, do this. It resonates. You do that. You've stayed steady with it since and just expanded into it.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's funny because I never, when I first started wanting to do massage or discover it, or not discover, but explore it, I didn't even think I'd start my own business doing it. I was like, oh, like I'll just be, I'll just massage people at like a spa, or I didn't even know about sports therapy really till the end of schooling, and then I found a really good mentor and whatnot, and here I am. I would say I have to give praise to my mentor when I first started working underneath like a sports therapy place, because he was a really good entrepreneur, and he inspired me really. And I think I just needed that, because I think I've always had that in me, I just didn't believe in it. And I think once we start to believe in ourselves and see the potential we have, you don't want to work for anyone else anymore, because you realize you have such like a gift and a passion to like give back to the world, And that's what I realized. And I started believing that every day. And I'm like, oh man, this is my calling. This is what I'm meant for. Like, I'm not going to work for someone else again. People love me. People love this. This is great. And it's like when you realize you have that, and you realize like this is what you're meant to do. You're not going to sell yourself short anymore. And I was doing that for a long time. I think a lot of people probably do that.
I think so too.
You ever talk to someone and they're like, oh, like they might be a really good artist or something, or they have a beautiful voice or something, but they're like doing something they hate, and I'm like, why? Like, I don't know. I mean, I get, you have to pay bills, you have kids, whatnot. Luckily, I don't have any of that. Otherwise, it might be a different story. But I don't know. I feel like, entrepreneurship, especially this business, like, it's not crazy overhead. Like, it's pretty relaxed too. That's one relaxed.
Thing. Yeah.
I try. I'm blessed because, it's not as stressful as I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And I know being a business owner can be in certain aspects.
Yeah.
I think it just depends the business you're in.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And also just with the technology advancements that we've had, it's like it's easier to outsource some of the things that you don't want to do than it used to be, right? There's like
That is true.
so
You
it's
can,
not as impossible to do your own thing
once
as it
upon a
used to.
time you didn't have all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, things are getting a lot easier, so to say, to like hire people or
Yeah.
have computer. Shoot, AI is scaring me though. Let me tell you.
Same. It's equally, it's a little both. Yeah. 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 That's a whole nother conversation,
I
right?
know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, start to wrap up, but this has tapped you, like being on the body, it's helped you to, from what you've let me know, like starting to look into just different like quantum physics or like getting into meditation. I mean, like
Love quantum physics.
Yeah, it opens up all the doors for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has opened up a lot of doors for me, like getting outside of yourself and all the ego, so to say, and then once you tap out of that and realize and not live in fear or attachment to all these ideas surrounding yourself that were negative your whole life,
That
right?
were lies anyway, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you start meditating on life and positivity, and like you said, getting in the quantum field where opportunities endless. That's where the journey begins. Yeah, and honestly, that's when all this started happening.
Yeah,
because that's in COVID. I started doing that as well. Like I think a lot of us were like, okay, like,
I have time to meditate. I'll do this meditation
and
thing.
we're like scared, like, am I gonna die from the virus? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
At least that was big for me. I started really getting into meditation too.
Yeah.
And everything was just aligned ever since.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So how do you live with your heart wide open?
Oh gosh. Oh. Probably just going back to just living to your authentic self and not being afraid of who that is, because I feel like a lot of times people feel unloved or unaccepted or feel like they have to give or do certain things to feel worthy, right? Or whatever that may be, and my biggest thing of living with my heart wide open is understanding that that's all, like we said earlier, it's all a lie. We're all worthy of love. We're all worthy of giving and receiving, and understanding that, like, for me, like, God loves us, that's I'm a huge spiritual believer, and that was like a big thing for me too, is like understanding there's a higher power and tapping into that and releasing and surrendering into a faith that's led me to amazing places. And when you do that and you release all these things that are maybe built up inside of you, so to say, for a long time that you didn't know you have, you start to naturally just like relax. Your shoulders drop. All these things start to happen, and your heart just starts to you start to feel like a little kid again. And I think that's the biggest thing, is we lose that inner child, right? Because there's a certain point in our life where maybe it was a kid or teenager or whatever, where you have to be like toxic masculinity, or you start getting into these situations to where you become stoic or angry or whatever it may be. But yeah, so I'm slowly still on that path of releasing all that. I think I'm getting there though.
Yeah. Well, it seems you are.
Yeah.
There's something I saw the other day that really got my attention. It was like a little meme or something, and it said, "Do you know how much violence it took to become this gentle?"
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah, you gotta. Absolutely. It's like the more you wrestle with life and the more you go through, it can
Instagram's got
make you
some
harder.
good.
Don't get me wrong. You can choose that path, but if you choose to do the work, it can really soften you up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I see a lot of cool memes too on Instagram. Who's writing these?
I know some of them are brilliant.
I
Some
want
of
to
them,
know the
but-
person. Like,
Yeah.
Could we be friends?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that's a little bit why you're here. Because I mean, I met you, I thought it was cool, but then I was like, yeah, I mean, the consistency of your message was really cool. So
Cool. I'm
yeah,
gonna start making some meme posts now.
yeah, maybe a couple of things here and there. I don't know. Stay tuned. It was cool. Was anything else that feels left unsaid, or do you feel pretty good about our shot today?
I think that was great. I don't know
Perfect.
about you.
I know I'm good. And I just want to let everybody know that you are available, as we said, your website, Instagram, and you have a special for the summer. So
Yes.
2 hours.
Patient specials.
Okay.
2 hours, $165. Usually it's $200. It's awesome. It's gonna change your life. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be emotionally, vulnerable. It's gonna be whatever you want it to be, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
true body work. So you wear, like, I remember I wore biking shorts and a sports bra or something, like athletic wear or whatever. So yeah.
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 Nothing crazy.
Athletic wear, go in, get work done, see his videos so you know what you're getting into,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
drink a lot of water before
Drink
and
a lot
after,
of water,
right?
Prepare yourself mentally, physically, all the good stuff, and I'm here when you're ready.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your time today. This is really great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
We could talk for hours. I love
I know.
this.
I know. If you have a time later, we would.
I know, right?
Cool. Thank you for joining us on the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. We appreciate your time, energy, and attention. Whether you're watching or listening, please remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Stay up to date with us at heartwideopenwellness.com so you don't miss any upcoming events, offerings, or retreats. Until next time, keep your heart wide open.